Well, hello, Judith. This is the introduction to our Knowledge Core Classic Grounded Theory applications with qualitative and quantitative data. It is based on a book that was just published by Sage with the same title. So, what is grounded theory? Well, if we look at the literature, grounded theory has been described as a research process, the way a research is conducted, as the end result of the research, that is a new theory but empirically grounded in data. It has also been described as a guide for the research design. Now we will see in the conclusion of this course that we highlight many different things that we can consider grounded theory is. But let's just start with this. Now, what are theories? Here again, in one of our knowledge seeds, we will go much deeper into what a theory is. Let us just say for the moment that a theory is what is applied by consultants and what is produced by academics, at least what should be produced by academics. And why should we use classic grounded theory? Well, I was trying to think the most obvious reasons why one should use grounded theory, and I think very simply it's a very powerful approach. An approach to turn practical experience into theory. And for instance, if you are a DBA student, a practitioner that is going into research, trying to turn their experience into interesting theory, that is a fabulous approach for you. If you are a traditional researcher but is a little bit, you are a little bit tired of seeing over and over again the same theories, and you would like a new vision, a new perspective on a given domain or on a phenomenon, this is also a fabulous approach for you. And you might, if you're lucky, produce a great theory that is in rupture with existing literature. Now, this knowledge core that includes 10 knowledge seeds provides a real guidance, step-by-step guidance on undertaking a research study in a grounded theory approach, classic grounded theory approach. It is a full package approach. It's not something that you take bits and pieces from and you help yourself. It is a global approach, and it can be applied to any study and any type of data where the goal is to discover. You would not choose classic grounded theory if you want to confirm something, or if you've studied the literature, identify the gap, and then trying to verify hypothesis. Here your goal is to discover something new, something interesting, something that hasn't been found before and that is in rupture with existing literature. Now tell us about the agenda now, Judith, please.
Well, the agenda for this knowledge core really follows closely the setup of our book. We start with a section of knowledge seeds on the overview of classic grounded theory. We proceed then into grounded theory in practice, and finally, importantly, writing classic grounded theory. And then our conclusion after studying all of these aspects, what is grounded theory? So if we go back and we look at the overview, we start by situating grounded theory on the research landscape. We then go more deeply into what a theory is and how a classic grounded theory is about discovering new theory. We then, in knowledge seed number 3, we look at foundational pillars of classic grounded theory. Knowledge seed number 4, we're going to look at clarifying some common sources of confusion, particularly for people new to grounded theory. Then we move into the second section. We have 3 knowledge seeds there. The first one looks at where do you find your data. Second one, which is knowledge seed number 6, we look at analyzing that data. And then knowledge seed number 7 at shaping the theory. And then finally we have 2 chapters and 2 knowledge seeds that focus on writing. First, knowledge seed number 8 is about how writing is an integral part of doing classic grounded theory. And then in knowledge seed number 9, we look at the ultimate goal of writing and of doing and writing grounded theory, which is for publication.
And there is knowledge seed number 10 that will help you evaluate the scope and reach of a grounded theory, including your own.
That's right.
And finally, we conclude with what is grounded theory, the famous question that we believe needs a little bit further answers and more detailed answers than what has been proposed in the literature.
Right.
So the question that remains is, the question that is really important is, what do you need to know beforehand, before you take this course, before you start on the knowledge seeds? Well, perhaps a few definitions on some elements that are part of that are really an important part of any research study. Okay. Now, the first part of any research study is the data. Mm-hmm. It is the basis, the evident and necessary basis on which we build our theories. Okay. These data can be qualitative data, quantitative data. They can be music. They can be photographs. Anything you want. The methods are the data collection methods. How do we collect our data? These can be surveys, filming, interviews. They can be the next element that is part of any research project is the techniques. What techniques are we using? What are the instruments that we use to help analyze and make sense of all the collected data? Now, these instruments may be cluster analysis, SEM, structural equation modeling, or text analysis. Of course, all these can be combined depending on the kind of data that you have. Finally, the methodology. This is a term that has been used and reused by many researchers and in many textbooks, and there are many different definitions. We will name methodology the specific combination of research methods and techniques that are used in a given research project. Mm-hmm. As far as we are concerned, we are critical realists, Judith and I, we would consider that there might be as many methodologies as there are researchers, because somehow the researcher is part of his research. Now, the framework, it is the general set of guidelines that is proposed by some authors and that a researcher might choose to follow in a given research project. Now, it can be precisely classic grounded theory, mm-hmm. It can be Straussian grounded theory, it can also be action research, case study research, and here again, some frameworks might be combined. Finally, paradigm, this is a word that has been profusely studied and described in many different literatures. We will define it here based on Morgan 2007 as a shared belief system that influences the kinds of knowledge researchers seek and how they interpret the evidence that they collect. Now let's start and have a look at our first knowledge seed.